Let's dive into Kira's training so we can stay nice and consistent when we get home. When we get home and we give her a command and she listens, we're going to make sure that we are pet praising or rewarding her to let her know that she's doing a great job. This is going to help us build a nice, strong, positive reward history. A positive reward history is a positive association with doing an action. The more positive she sees these actions as, the more often and the more likely she's going to just give us these good behaviors. Now, if we give her a command and she doesn't listen, we're going to make sure that we are following through using her training equipment. Dogs learn in photos, so we have about 1.3 seconds to either pet, praise, or reward her for her good behavior or to follow through for the unwanted behavior. Let's go ahead and go over her commands. Her first command is going to be heel. Heel means to walk politely next to us on the left-hand side with a nice, loose leash. When she is doing this, we are again going to make sure that we are pet praising and rewarding her to let her know she's doing a wonderful job. If by chance she gets a little distracted, veers to the left, or pulls ahead of us, we're going to make sure that we are following through with her training equipment. What is her training equipment and how do we follow through? The first item in her training equipment is going to be her prong collar. When using her prong collar, we are going to attach the leash to the spinning D-ring. We are also going to make sure that the collar is not big enough to slide on and off of her head. We are going to make sure that we are taking it apart at the links. To do this, we are going to allow the links to hang parallel, and we are going to press one link down the prongs of the other. To put it back together, we are going to squeeze the prongs together and we're going to pop them through the little loops. This is all about technique, not strength. Now while she's wearing this, it is going to sit up extremely high on her neck, just under her jawbone. We are going to make sure that the chain is also on the back of her neck. To follow through with it, we are going to mark the unwanted behavior with the verbal word no, and then we are going to do a slight pop and release of the collar, and then we are going to repeat to her what it is we are wanting her to do. So if we're heeling and she's doing great, veers to the left or pulls ahead, we're going to say no, heel. The next item in Kira's training equipment is going to be her remote collar. So both the remote and the collar have these little red circles on them. To turn the collar on, we're going to touch those circles together until a green light flashes. Once that green light flashes, we now know that her remote collar is on. To turn the collar off, we are going to do the same thing and touch those circles together, and a red light is going to flash to indicate that the collar is off. To turn the remote on, there is a large button in the back. We're going to press and hold that button down until the screen turns on. Once that screen turns on, we know that her remote is on. To turn the remote off, it's going to be the same thing, and we're going to press and hold that large button that's in the back until the screen turns off. Once the screen is off, we now know that the remote is off. When using the remote collar to follow through, we are going to focus on that black S button. That is going to be our follow through button. And we are going to use this in a similar way that we use the prong collar. We are going to give the verbal word no, and then we are going to tap that button, that black S button, and then we are going to again repeat what it is we are wanting her to do, which in this situation is heel. So again, if she gets excited, pulls ahead, or veers to the left, no, heel. Kira's next command is sit. Sit was previously demonstrated with door manners. So what we do is we heel her up to the door and we tell her to sit. When she sits, we are going to pet, praise, or reward her to let her know she's doing a great job. We are then going to remind her to sit so that she stays sitting. We are then going to open the door, and as long as she stays sitting, we can pet, praise, or reward her again, and then tell her heel and exit through the door together. If by chance she does get up out of the sit before you tell her heel to go through that door, we are going to close the door and redo the activity. Once she is able to continue to stay sitting with that door open, that's when we are again going to pet, praise, or reward her and then heel through the door together. Her next command is going to be down. Down is a long-term duration stay that was demonstrated with down in the lobby. So what we do is we heel her to where we want her to lay down at, then we tell her down. Once she lays down, we are going to give her her reward as closely to the ground as possible, because if we go to hand it to her, she has a higher possibility of popping up into a sit or possibly even standing up, because dogs do follow their nose. So we want to, again, make sure we are rewarding her as closely to the ground as possible. Her next command is going to be place. Place is a long-term barrier stay. So we use a place bed for this. I do recommend using this command when people come over, when you're cooking, when you're cleaning, or when she's just a little overly excited. So we are going to tell her place. She is going to get up on that place bed. When we go to reward her, we are going to drop the treat onto the bed. This is so that she has a positive reward history with the bed and believes that the bed is what is producing those rewards. There are a few rules about place. She is not to touch the floor, and she is not to vocalize, so no barking and no whining. She's also not to chew on the lead if she does have that on, and she's not to chew on the bed. She can have toys and she can have treats, but again, she is not to get off of the bed. She is also not to vocalize or chew on the bed or her lead. To get her out of place, we are going to go back to the bed and free her. So we will tell her free, and she will then either decide to get off of the bed or possibly just continue to lay there if she's comfortable. Her next command is going to be come. Come is our recall. I do recommend using a 30 to 50 foot long lead, even if we are in an enclosed area. I'm so sorry about that. This is for safety purposes. So when we tell her come, we are going to use a loud, firm tone. We are going to take a few steps back when she starts coming to us, and this is to invite her into our space. While we take a few steps back, we are also going to praise her on her way to us by telling her, yes, Kira, good girl. And then when she gets to us, we are going to have her go into a sit, and then we are going to give her her reward. We are then going to free her and do the activity again. If by chance she is a little overly distracted, we're then going to use the long lead to kind of reel her in. Now, even though we are reeling her in, we are still going to take a few steps back once she decides to start coming to us, and we are still going to praise her along her way. She will still go in that sit and then be rewarded. We can then free her and do it again. Her next command is going to be leave it. Leave it in okay. So when working on this, I do recommend using dog-safe foods such as hot dogs. What we are going to do is we are going to drop the hot dog on the ground and we are going to tell her to leave it. If she leaves it, we are then going to reward her and either tell her okay, so she knows it's okay to pick that food up off the ground, or we are going to just pick the food up off of the ground. So these are all of Kira's commands. Let's go ahead and see her in action. Down. Kira, down. Good. Good, down. Down. Good girl. Down. Good girl. Down. Good. Good, down. Heel. Good job. Good, Kira. Leave it. Good girl. One more time. No, you're not even going to look at him? Leave it. Let's go ahead and go over Kira's remote collar. So again, both the remote and the collar have these little red circles on them. We're going to touch them together until a green light flashes. Once that green light flashes, we know her remote collar is on. To turn the collar back off, again, we're going to touch those buttons together until a red light flashes. When that red light flashes, we know that the collar is now off. To turn the remote on, there is that button in the back. We're going to press and hold that down until the screen turns on, indicating that our remote is on. To turn it off, same thing. Hold down that big button in the back until the screen turns off. Once the screen's off, your remote is now off. So when using this with Kira, we are going to focus on that black S button. That is our follow through button. Kira's level is currently at a level 35. Level 35 reaches the highest level of excitement that she has had here at the facility. Now, this might be too high or it might be too low when you get home. You will know if it is too high because you will barely have to use this button, and when you do, she will do a large flinch or she will whine. If it is too high, we are going to drop her level down by 5. Now, if her level is too low, you will constantly be having to use that button. So then we will increase her level by 5. And how do we do this? We're going to use the knob that is on the top of the collar, or of the remote. You can now see that her level is not changing, and this is because her level is locked in. We can tell that because the 1D is solid. So to unlock the level, we're going to press and hold the knob until that 1D is flashing. We did see that her level changed, and this is because the knob is a little bit sensitive, so we're going to get it back to the level we're wanting, and then we're going to press and hold down that knob again until that 1D is solid. So then we have the red S button. That red S button is an emergency only button. We have never had to use that on her here at the facility. Again, it is for emergencies only, such as if she is chasing a squirrel into a busy road. So a level 35 reaches her excitement level that she's had here at the facility and all the way down. Now, if she's chasing that squirrel across the road, her excitement level is going to be higher, so that's when we're going to use that button to boost her level up so that we can reach that level of excitement. And again, it was never used here at the facility. It's just there for a safe net. So then we have this T button. This T button is a vibrate button. I do not recommend using this with Kira in the immediate future, maybe farther along in her training with you at home. That could possibly be used as a warning for her, but right now we are going to be extremely consistent and use that black S button. That way we don't accidentally scare her. On the back, we have an MC button. What that does is it changes the buttons on the side from momentary to continuous. Again, this button is no longer necessary to use in her training. It was used at the very, very beginning with an extremely low level to help us create a positive reward history with the collar, and again, is no longer necessary in her training. Then we have that large button that we know if we press and hold it down, it's going to turn on and off the remote. But if we just tap it, it's going to turn a strobe light on her collar. If we tap it again, that light is going to stay on, and if we tap it one more time, that light is going to go off. So her remote collar did come with a lanyard that I did already attach to the remote. This is because we do not want to place the remote in our pants pocket, especially if the pants pockets are tight. We could accidentally end up following through at an unnecessary time or unlocking and adjusting her level. So again, I put the lanyard on, that way we can just slip it on over our necks. We also switched out her collar to one that has a quicker little clasp to put on and off of her. It also has this nice little bungee, that way there's just a little bit more give for her. In the box, we do have her original collar that came with the stimulator. It kind of just goes on like a belt, so you do have an extra one just in case it's necessary. We have a 2-bay charger, that way we are able to charge her collar and her remote at the same time. So the collar goes on first thing in the morning and comes off last thing at night. It should be worn 12 to 14 hours a day. We will know that it needs to be charged because that green light that is going to flash periodically on the collar is going to turn orange or it is going to turn red, and that's going to be indicating that we need to charge both of those. The collar and the remote have a 48-hour lifespan on the battery, and this is as long as we are making sure that we are turning them off at night once we take the collar off of Kira. To charge these, it only takes about an hour or two, so I do not recommend charging overnight because this could affect the battery life. Underneath the tray is going to be the manual, so in case you forget how to change her level, that is in there. We also have the shorter little stimulator prongs. We did switch these out for the longer ones just due to the fact that Kira has such a long mane on her. We wanted to make sure that we weren't having the collar too tight. Both the collar and the remote are also waterproof, so when we charge them, we really want to make sure that we are fully closing the little charging ports. That way no dirt and no debris and no moisture get in there and they continue to charge. Okay, so the remote and the collar also have a half-mile radius, so eventually farther down the road, once she is perfect on her recall, we can just have this collar on her and we can let her roam around and still be able to communicate with her when necessary. There is a 2-year warranty when it comes to the remote and the collar, so if by chance something happens, it does not continue to charge or they're just not connecting to each other, you can go ahead and get a hold of the company and they should help you out with that. So that's everything to do with Kira's remote collar. Remember to stay consistent and have fun.